I have a friend who's dating men older than she is. They're usually in their 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And a lot of these guys like her as a friend. She's a very attractive, fun, fit woman. And these guys are very successful, but they seem like they have no interest in sex or dating. I suspect, based on talking with her, they have erectile dysfunction or low libido. They're attractive men, they're fit, some of them are extremely successful, and they have no woman in their life. They just seem content to be without a woman. And I think that and they were both, these guys were all married before. I think that a lot of people, as they get older, if once they lose their desire for sex, and if they have their own money, they will tend to not date or have sex and they don't care. I was talking to someone recently, a gentleman, and he likes women. He's also in his early 70s, and he said that many of his friends said that, hey, if I were single again, and they're also in their 70s, if I were single again, I wouldn't deal with women at all. I would just play golf, I would travel, I'd hang out with my kids, I'd work out in my shop, I'd do this, I'd do that. And it just boggles my mind that there are people that don't care about sex. The nice thing about caring about sex, I think sex connects us to our own sensuality and our own sexuality. And from there, it drives part of our aliveness and vitality, and it seeks us to make connections with the opposite sex. Women who lost their libido, the only reason that they would want a guy is if they're looking for a sugar daddy, if they're gold diggers, if they're looking for the money. But women who have their own money, who lost their interest in sex, they also say, hey, I don't need a guy. I'm just going to go travel with my girlfriends. I'm just going to go travel. I'm just going to have fun. They lost their desire for sex and they don't want a man in their life anymore if they have their own money. That's the same with men. People, as they get older, if they have their own money and they lost their libido, the sex is out the window. And I think that takes us a lot of the fun out of life. For me, I think so. And I never want to lose my libido. Like, that is so important to me. I am very, very selective in how I use my libido. Having a libido doesn't mean that you go around hooking up. It can just be in touch with your sensuality, and that makes you have that desire to connect with the opposite sex. Once you lose that desire, I don't know. And some people do and they don't miss it, you know? There are people that don't miss sex at all. There are even people who are married who don't miss sex at all. I shouldn't just make this video about older people because there are younger people too who are not that in tune with their libido. It can be women and it can be men. And I think it's as common for it to be men as it is to be women. I myself was married to a guy who was not that interested in sex. Sex was just a way for him to get off. If it just lasted a minute or two, that was the better. And then he would just get up and go to work or roll over and go to sleep. And it was just not that important to him. And when I got tired of fucking him after 10 years of marriage and started sleeping with the kids, he never complained because he didn't care about the sex, whether it was happening or not. It was just not that big of a deal to him. And there are men like that. I have a friend who got divorced her husband because he had severe sexual dysfunction. We think he was abused. We don't know. But there's a lot of that going on. And I was very unhappy in my marriage over the bad sex, and so was she. And I've talked to men who were married to women who there was no sex happening. And these men report that they still love their wife. I don't get it. I don't get how you can love your wife if she's not fucking you. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all because when I was married, I stayed in that marriage because of the kids and our family life, which I valued a lot. But I was very unhappy with the sex life. Very, very unhappy with my sex life. My entire marriage, I was unhappy with my sex life. Did I cheat on him? No, but I fantasized a lot. I always wondered what other men were like in bed. And then sometimes I had sex with women, which he didn't mind because it was just women. And It's not like I needed to have sex all the time, but I wanted it to be connected and interesting and passionate and fun. I didn't want it to be just a 1 minute quickie. There are people who don't really care about sex. So, what I'm wondering about, if you're really honest, guys and ladies, if you're not happy with the sex life in your relationship, I don't understand how you can say that you're happy in your relationship. If you're a sexual person and you're not having sex in your marriage, aren't you sad, disappointed, feel like you're missing out, angry, frustrated, hoping that person will change? I mean, that is like the most frustrating thing ever. The most frustrating thing ever. And I did divorce my husband over that. There's a thing about the quantity and there's a thing about the quality. So, there's just so many asexual people. Like for some people, they're always just not that into sex. It's just something they do to get off. It's just physical release thing. They don't want to connect with their partner because they're emotionally avoidant. Then there are people who are sexually dysfunctional because they were abused as children or they were sex shamed through their religion. There's libido is just shut down. For all these people, it's just shut down. It's so sad. And then there are people whose libido just shrinks with age, like women who report they lost their libido at menopause. I do not settle for losing my libido. I am not okay with that. Some women don't care. They're like, well, I lost my libido. C'est la vie. I don't care. I don't get it. And that's why I have this YouTube channel, because I still like sex. I like talking about sex. And there are women my age and older who still enjoy sex. And there are women who don't and men who don't. And it's just very frustrating to be in a relationship with someone if one person is a sexual being, the other is not. And sex is not this dirty thing that some people make out to be. I always say that we are spiritual beings in physical form. And sex is a spiritual, it's a physical and spiritual activity. And it's not even about orgasms, you guys. Like the best sex I've ever had in my life, I didn't even have an orgasm. I didn't. Some of the things that I've just cried, I was so moved in my heart by how these men were so tender with me. And, I cried. And there's nothing that can make me cry like that. It's just a very unique experience with the right man putting in the right attention. And I couldn't get that with my husband because he just made it physical. But I know that some women don't enjoy sex because they're with men who are brutes in bed. Brutes. And I don't blame you. If you've only been with men who are brutes in bed, you have a good reason to hate sex. Believe me, because if the guy's a brute in bed, that is the worst. Oh, it's just horrible, horrible. But if you've ever had a guy who's patient and calm and tender, taking things slow, focused on your pleasure, it's not just all about his dick. It's pretty amazing. I want to drop a few more good sex tips here. These are things for sure that would make me not want sex. The guy just trying to stick it in real quick and doing boom, 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 boom. Bumping my hips and boom, boom, boom. Like, you're boring me right now. And I don't want your hips bumping on my hips because that hurts. Don't twist my legs way back. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you bumping my hips? And don't spit on your hand and then try to make me wet that way. That's a turnoff. That's just gross. And don't be so worried about your dick, guys. As long as it's 2 or 3 inches long and you're hard, you're good. The moment you start obsessing about your dick, you're no longer interested in me. And now you're losing your erection and it's all about your dick and you're not present. You have to be in your body. You have to be embodied. So men have to learn how to be calm how to be present, how to slow things down. It's not a performance, it's not a race, you don't have to get anywhere. It's just a spiritual experience in our physical bodies. That's pretty amazing. And it's different from other experiences because it brings out certain kind of energies that I guess the closest I can think of it is like I'm doing ball slams. I'm like, oof. Some of that can come out during sex because it's physical. It's like, oof. But then there's also like a lot of tenderness and a lot of touching and looking in each other's eyes. And I like that kind of very sensual sex like that. And I think most people do. But if you're with a guy who's just a brute who just sticks it in and out, he doesn't even give you a chance to get engorged. He doesn't care about your pleasure. He's all about his dick. I tell you, by the time I got divorced, I hated penises because I was married to a guy who made all about his dick. It was all about his dick. Just sticking it in and getting off. But, you know, he was nice in all other ways, but he made the sex so bad that I just didn't like it. So I could see why women wouldn't like it. There are so many things guys can do that's wrong, and what they really have to do is learn to get embodied. But, you know, getting back to the point of this video, they're just people who don't really care about sex. And if you're a person who cares about sex, you know, you just have to realize there's nothing wrong with you, that you like sex, that you miss sex, that you're sad and frustrated and angry and disappointed and whatever feelings you have, that you're not having it with that person that you want it from, the person you're married to, the person you're supposed to be monogamous with, or the person that you want to be with who doesn't even know you exist or has no interest in you. You know, these are painful things that we experience. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't understand how a man or a woman can say, I'm happily married, if they're a sexual being who doesn't get sex or good sex. You know, I don't understand. And I think that every woman knows that she's not fucking her husband. He's a good-looking guy who likes sex and she's not fucking him. Deep down, she knows he's getting it elsewhere. She has to be concerned about that. And I think it's good for women to be concerned about that. I do remember reading in one of these sex books, I don't remember which one, if it was Sex at Dawn or something else, that when a guy's been gone for a while and comes home, the woman's super horny. It's almost like she's trying to reestablish that connection and make sure he doesn't stray. If the woman feels a little bit threatened that the guy could be looking at other women, that's why the guy has to own his libido and be like, oh my God, she's hot. That worry can boost her libido that otherwise was low. It could boost it. But, you know, there were many years I wasn't fucking my husband because he was so bad in bed. And I always thought, maybe he's getting it elsewhere, and I wouldn't blame him if he did, but I am not going to fuck him. I hope he's finding it elsewhere. I wouldn't blame him if he did. And I think every woman who's honest with herself has to admit, she's not fucking him, it's probably fucking someone else. I just don't want to know about it. And that's the key thing. You don't want to let your wife know about it. You shouldn't have an affair, but you can always go see an escort. You know, I think that's very harmless. Because these men who are very sensual, it's not just about the orgasm. They really want that intimate touch from a woman. The same way that a woman wants that intimate touch from a man. Like, there's something magical about a strong, embodied man treating me with tenderness. It's just magical. It's like a spiritual experience. It's food for the soul. It has nothing to do with porn and orgasms. It's like a hug that also involves your genitals, really. It's just like a good hug. And a good hug is, you know what a good hug feels like. And a good hug from a passionate man moving inside of me. Oh my God. I just, you know, but the man has to be conscious and embodied. It can't just be like any guy. That's why I don't like porn. I look at porn and I'm like, oh, it's so disgusting. But the point being, if you are married to someone that doesn't, if you like sex and your partner is not that into it, how can you say that you're happily married? I want to know.